जी की फतेह।
हाँ जी, वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Ravinder Singh here. Welcome to another session of Coach Gurbani. Today we will spend our time investigating the third Laav, the third pori of the set of poris that we have here called Lava. As we, just to sort of refresh our memories a bit and recap what we have talked about so far, in the very first Laav, we noticed that there was the overriding concern there was to make a commitment to change, and the change was to be made under the guidance of the Guru. And the idea essentially was to establish oneself in what we call dharam. And there was also mention of Sahaj and Anand, which were mentioned as goal states there. So beginning with a commitment to change under the guidance of the Guru, we moved on to the second pori. And what we discovered there was that under the instruction of the Guru, with the Guru as our guide, we notice that there is a growing awareness within our minds, an awareness essentially that there is no other, that this entire creation is actually one. So this is the awareness. You begin to recognize this awareness, and it gets heightened in the second Laav that we discussed. So today, the third Laav, let's see what is being said here with the background of the first two at the back of our minds. So let me first read the entire passage, and then we'll go back and do it line by line, and then we'll move on to our discussion. So with your permission, Har tijri lao man chao bhaya, sorry, Har tijri lao man chao bhaya bairagiya Balram jiyo, Sant jana har mel har paya vad bhagiya Balram jiyo. निर्मल हर पाया हर गुण गाया मुख बोली हरे बाणी संत जना वड भागी पाया हर कथिय अकथ कहानी हृदय हर 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 धुन उपजी हर जपिए मस्तक भाग जियो जन नानक बोले तीजी लामे हर उपजे मन बैराग जियो. So the thing to notice here is that there is mention of Bairag and Chao. Har tijdi lam man chao bhaya. At the very outset, there is mention of the fact that within the mind of the Bairagya here, it's referring to the state of mind of those in whom this thing we call Chao has arisen. And we need to spend a little bit of time trying to understand how these things, how these two states come about and what they really mean. So with the awareness that was heightened in the second Laav, that switches over to a longing, which is what Chao is, an intense longing. Vairagya is the mind where Vairag actually comes from a Sanskrit word which is composed of two words, and given my interest in trying to get to the etymology of the word, I'll share it with you. It comes from a V, which means without, and rag. Rag, as we know, means feeling, emotion, passion. So it means without rag, virag. And essentially what it means is a state, I mean, in spiritual literature, you will find mention of virag because it is one of the prerequisites for devotion to Gyan. And it is a state of detachment, if you will, a state of dispassion that begins to arise in you. And Bani tells us that even this state of mind does not arise without the Guru. Um, just for your benefit, there's I'm quoting a line, Sadgur bin Bairag na hovi. So without the Satguru, even this condition cannot arise. But this seems to be a necessary precondition. The sense of withdrawal of the senses uh, from the world around us, in the sense that we are looking for, we are longing for uh, a higher knowledge, a higher pleasure, if you will. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. And so that's really what it is. So in the third now, what we are being told is that man chao bhaya, the mind is filled with this intense longing, and it is also experiencing a state of vairag at the same time. So it seems to me that these two arise together. One is a necessary condition of the other. And then it goes on to say, can you move it down, please? Yeah, just leave it where it is. Sant jana har mel har paya. And then it's actually Sant jana har mel har paya vadpagiya. The reference to vadpagiya is in the plural, meaning those minds that are blessed. In those minds, they are blessed. Why? Because har Sant jana har mel. That is, that they were blessed with meeting the Sant Jan. Sant Jan here is a signifier for the Guru. So Sant Janahar. So those minds that have that connection or have made that connection with the Satguru, Sant Jana, are blessed indeed. And then it goes on to say, Nirmal har paya, har gun gaya, mukh boli har bani. Well, it is saying, it is kind of a repeat, Nirmal Harapaya, meaning I recognized and I connected with my Hari, meaning my inner self, uh, by Hargun Gaya. What did I do? Hargun Gaya, which is inculcating divine virtues, or to put it another way, when I internalized the teachings of the Guru, I began to internalize the teachings of the Guru thanks to my Satguru. And then onwards, Sant Jana Vatapagi Paya Har Kathi Akath Kahani. And this is the beginning of understanding knowledge that is not essentially amenable to words. This is a different dimension of understanding that you begin to fathom at that point. And then it goes on. Can we just leave it where it is? So I've done this, Sant Jana Vadapagi Paya Har Kathi Akath Kahani. And that's what Akath Kahani, as you all know, is, the story that cannot be spoken. And then goes on to say that Hirde Har Dhun Upaji Har Japiye Mastak Bhag Jiyo. So Mastak Bhag Jiyo, again, over and over again, Guruji is emphasizing the blessedness of being in such a state. That in the end, Hirde Har 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 Tun Upaji, meaning that in the innermost depths of my being, which is what Hirde is, the heart, as we say, although one might confuse it with the organ, but here the heart is the innermost depth of your being. And that is where you begin. Tun upaji, of course, literally means that a sound emanates, but I would read that as the grasping of that knowledge. And japiye, har japiye, which I would say the effort and the contemplation and the reflection leads to a recognition of that knowledge which is beyond words, which is an akath kahani. And in the end, of course, there is a repetition, Jan Nanak bole piji lame. So in the third round of my attachment to the Hari, to my Hari, which is really my inner center, Upaje man bairag jiyo. So again, a repetition of bairag, and bairag is, it seems to me, is the precondition here for the longing to happen. So I suppose there is some instruction here that in order to actually obtain knowledge of your inner self, there has to be some level of inversion. So you have to withdraw from the outside world. And how might one withdraw from the outside world? It seems to me that what is being asked of us is not so much to stop eating or doing our normal things, but to shift our attention inwards. So it's really a matter of shifting your attention. And there are, I believe, many ways to do that, which I will not go into, but the ask is to basically shift your attention from knowledge that comes through perception, through the senses, to another mode of knowing, which is inside of us, but we are not that familiar with. And so the idea is that the Sadguru will guide you, because you need specialized tools to understand, specialized knowledge. You need specialized texts for that matter. So it's basically an inversion that is being asked of. So vairag is when you turn your attention inwards rather than trying to sort of scatter it all outwards. So that's how I have understood the third pauri. So we have change leading to a heightened awareness in the second, to an intense longing in the third. Now, even though these passages can be read in themselves, I sort of was trying to find a connection, and that's how I see it. So with that said, let me reach out to Ekokarji.
I think this word vairag for me is the one that's most compelling in this particular round. And I used to think of vairag kind of the way you described it, Ravinder, just kind of as a detachment. But I've come to believe from my own experiences that vairag is actually a much darker place than simple, like simply non-attachment. That I think that it's a place where, if we talk about rag as love, that we go into this place where we feel the void. And it's kind of a moment where the expectation of the mind hits up against the reality of life. And there's a pain, or a distaste or a disillusionment that results in a kind of withdrawal. But under the Guru's guidance, that experience can just on its own, if the mind's left to its own devices, it can go into really difficult, challenging places. But under the Guru's guidance, that time when the mind has to give up what it wants or what it thinks life should be or what its expectations were. And I think that happens in life. I especially think it happens in relationships, that we enter into relationships with all kinds of dreams and ideas that we project onto our partner. And then there's a reckoning where we have to go, oh, my expectations are not what's going to happen here. And I have to let go of my dreams to some extent. And what the Guru does is takes that moment and says, okay, now that you're ready to let go of that longing for these things outside of yourself, let me bring you to the place inside of yourself. Then that's the hirade hada, let me bring you to this place inside of you that's so deep and so sweet that you can't really express, where you're going to find immense contentment. And in that, then you come back to vairag as a real non-attachment, not because you're not attached to life, but because you've seen it for what it is. And you're finding happiness inside of you, regardless of what's going on in the environment. And I believe that this is what this round is talking about, is that journey, after we've committed to Dharma and we've made the commitment, after we've conquered our fear, of being in relationship or whatever the fear is, then we go into disillusionment, but the disillusionment is a pathway to contentment as long as we keep our mind focused on the guru. So those are my thoughts about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that insight. And I think that's a very important insight. I do meet people who have reached the state of disillusionment. They've gotten everything that they wanted out of life, at least they thought they have, or they think they have. And then the big question is this it? I get a lot of that. Is this it? Is there's nothing else? Now, the only problem is that they somehow don't have the guru to guide them. So that's where they are floundering a little bit. But to your point, that this is really the dark night that one has to encounter, where there
Exactly.
is a sense of this is the dark night that you have to really get across. And once you're able to, go across the abyss, that's when the other state begins to emerge that you have referred to.
Right, but you can't cross it on your own. That's
you can't exactly, which is why I brought up the example of many people I know who are not looking to Bani for guidance, but who are reaching the edge of the abyss and saying, now what do I do? I'm afraid. I don't want to make the leap. I don't want to jump across. And that's where the guru helps you to jump across, and then you reemerge, as you very rightly pointed out, that you reemerge with a state of deep contentment, where it's not like you've given up any of the world, you're still there, and yet nothing seems to affect you, because your joy and your anand is springing from within. You find a spring within where this fount is, and it is ceaseless. So thank you very much for elaborating on this so beautifully. Ranavir ji?
Hello.
Anji.
Can you hear me?
Haji, bilkul, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. And I think the exchange took place just a moment ago is exceptionally relevant and very enlightening to me. The point you made that there are many people, I shouldn't say I know, maybe I know, they have not reached, but they ask that question, okay, let me get to that level, so what then? And I think you very rightly pointed out, without guru guidance, we cannot go across that, experience that level of contentment, which we cannot express, we cannot basically experience in this world. And that's very nicely put. Now, coming back to number 3 here, I am thinking of the whole Lama somewhat differently. I see it is a flower blooming. It is stages through which we go through to bloom. So it's not that we are doing, things are going to happen automatically. And I'm just reading the first lam that what we are supposed to do is given in first lam. Once we have gone to that one, Brahma, Bani, Brahma, Ve, Taram Dadao, Paap Tajaya, Balram Jiyo, Taram Dado, Har Naam Tyao, Simrat Naam Dadaya, Satguru Guru Pura Rado, Sat Kilvik Paap Guaya. These are the things. If we do these things, what happens is we get connected with Satgur. Now, one thing which is still I'm not clear about that. There's lack of clarity about the word. Every word is Satgur. There's no Satguru, although you mentioned Guru is there to give us guidance. Guru, whenever we refer to Guru, I just go back and look at the Shabad Guru from where we get all the wisdom. This Satgur is where we are heading. Once we do whatever is told in Lam first, we get connected with Satgur. And I still spending my thoughts, energy to understand this, what is, where it is, how it is, and what is the form or what is the attributes of this Satgur. But this is what happens in second law. But once you meet Satgur, then law and third, what you're saying is that those emotions, those feelings, those longings automatically, just like a flower is blooming, they arise in you. You don't have to do anything. And that's why when we say, okay, how we can apply that to our life, I said what we have to apply is exactly given the first lam. Everything else emerges from that. And in that, Sant Jana, as you said, I totally agree with the Sant Jana is referred to Satgur again, that har male, har paya, vad pagiya Balram Jiyo. So everything you said, I totally agree, but only thing, the way I thought that you don't have to do anything, nothing. We take it from here, this lam and apply. What we have to take from this whole four lamas is in the first lam. But then when you said this line, Herde har tunupji, har japiye mastak bhagjiyo. I didn't see when you, maybe I didn't hear that mastak bhagjiyo word, you didn't allude to that. What does it mean? To me, it means either whatever was destined for me, it also bloomed at the same time. It was in my destiny. These things are happening, yes. And Tunupji, as you said, that awareness arose in my mind, and then it says Jananak bole tiji lave harupja man bairag jiyo. The whole thing is about the bairag in this lam, which is stated in the first line and also in the last line, is that you, once you get to that level, you get connected with Satgur, and then it is a connection with Satgur that everything again starts to happen. Vairag comes, longing comes, you become ambitious, whatever it is. So this is how I understand it.
Haji. Thank you, Jiveji. We'll move on and see what others have to say. Chetandeep Singh ji.
Hanji Veji, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I beg to differ a bit from what you mentioned and what Ekamkarji mentioned. I think both of you use words like disillusionment and a dark place or a dark night. Again, from my very limited experience, I did not have that experience, so I cannot say. But the way I understand, I'm looking at this body and listening to you, or not body, but this Shabad, is that I wouldn't translate the word chow as intense longing. In my opinion or understanding, the word intense longing would be used for the word maybe birha. Chow, in my mind, would be something of an excitement, of something that is coming. It's like if I've been working hard enough on something, and then I reach a stage where I don't feel like I'm working. I am just enjoying what is happening. I'm in a flow. I'm excited. I'm excited. So it's not intense longing. I don't think the longing is the right word here. And also, what this Shabad is indicating to me is that Chao and Berag are arising simultaneously. It says Man Chao Paya and Upje Man Berag Jio. So both are arising simultaneously. So what that means is that, I mean, if they are both arising simultaneously, then how can Berag be disillusionment with the world? The reason I'm saying is because these states are arising out of a deep wisdom or gyan. When these things are arising out of gyan, you are no longer disillusioned. You are not attached to the world around us. As Guru Nanak says in his Bani, there's a Shabad, he poses the question, Kin bid sagar tariye? And in the same Shabad he answers, Asa pita rahe nirasa, tau Nanak ek mile. Right? So this nirasa, that is the bairag, that I am no longer attached. I live in this world, but I'm not of this world. I'm not attached to anything, bairag, as you said. Right? There is no attachment to anything outer because of that wisdom or gyan. So I can't understand why it is a deep, dark place. In fact, it arises with Chao. And also, you mentioned when you were explaining this, you said uh, when you were explaining the word Berag, you said without feelings or emotions and things like that. And at one level, I
I was
do
giving you dictionary meanings.
right. So I agree that they are, but also we have to consider a devotional aspect of bhakti that I think the word chow here is indicating that there is a strong devotional aspect, which is again feelings and emotions, probably, right? So it's like breaking away from one thing, which is Bairag from outer, and getting attached, chow, to our inner devotion or inner things. And that's on first line. The second thing that I want to point out is, at least to me, the second line, Sant Jana, the way I look at it is, it's basically a definition of the word Sant. Sant is in whose mind the the chow has arisen and Bairag has arisen. That mind is called Sant. If we connect line 1 and 2, I think the Sant Jana is referring to that mind, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ like Chao Paya and Upje Man Bairagyo. That mind is the Sant who has to go and meet the Ram or Hari. That's the way I am looking at it.
Okay. Gurdeep Singh Virji.
Okay, everything's clear to me one way or the other. Either we take the meaning of word by word or we take the central idea. All of you people spoke very good, actually. But now I will quote two things here out of Gurbani. What is Satpurukh? Satpurukh jin janya, Satguru tiska naam, tiske sang sikh ubre, Nanak har gun gao. Who's Satguru? The one who knows about the Satpurukh. Actually, Satpurukh is the top. That's the top of God. And the people who knows about him, they are the Satguru. And then Guru help us. He made our contact with the Satguru, and with Satguru put his hand over Mastak. Then from it start the thing. As I think Rana Biti said, other people said the similar thing. Once we are in the shine of Satguru, then it start beginning from there. These are the 4 stages, because that other stages will come automatically, one after the other, one after the other. So actually there are 4 parts, spiritual stages, which apply to our daily life as well, with the husband and wife. But it is a similar process with spiritual and meeting with the God. We have a body which is known as a female, Tan. And then we have a male inside, which we call Pir. Tan Pir ka iki sangvasa, Tan Suti Pir Jaganta. Pir is Atma, the soul. It's exactly the similar relation between husband and wife, and how we achieve this relation in worldly life here and with finally spiritual life. So I am okay here, but I can give you one little more quote if I might at a time. It's also from the same Guru, Tukhari Mahla Chautha. It's on page 1115. Jiske mastak gur haath, tis hirde har gun tike. That means who is blessed by the Satguru, all these attributes will stay in his heart. Har gun hirde tike tiske. This antar, now the stage come, pao pavni hoye. Bin peh kine na prem paya, bin peh par na utraya koi. So these are the 4 stages mentioned Guru. Many places in Guru Granth Sahib, peh, pao, pavni. This is how all the 4 stages, spiritual stages, and our day-to-day life between husband and wife. I think message from everybody I got is very much clear. It brings me to the same conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Virji. Thank you very much. I think we've gone through the first round. I just want to make an observation here. We've talked about things happening simultaneously and so on and so forth and automatically. I think that is all very well and understood. But when we have a dialogue and a discussion, we are trapped in in sentences and words and so on. And so therefore the conversation has to necessarily be sequential. But I think it's pretty well understood that these are, these are things that happen in a different sort of way than we understand them. So let me.
So as per my understanding, because this is also an independent law, someone has attained the same state of what is said in Asakti Var, like Chare Ved Bhai Sachar. Guru Nanak also says that you don't need to read all the four, one is enough. But even here too, all right. Either of the lam will take you there. So this is the ultimate system in Gurmat is Pao Bhakti Karni Chadai Nanak to Mukhantar Pai. So this methodology in third lam is also, he's attaining the same stage as the others did. Man Chao Paya, but somehow he didn't have any text or Sadguru. Somehow his mind got attracted to the moon. Man Bairag Paya, Darshan Dekhne Ka Chao. He wanted to explore what I am. Am I a spirit or something? Bairagiya. And that those people are known as Bairagi because Norma Patsha's slok says, there's an indication there about the Bairag when he says, Je Bikhya Sagri Taji Leo Pek Bairag. Kaho Nanak Sunremana Tehnar Mathe Bhag. So it's that category of people, they have found no fun in the Maya. So they have just gone away from Maya. But when you go away from Maya, the second stage you'll go is to go into your mood. And your Ram gets Bali or enlightened, Santa Jana Hari Med. Then what happens is when you are merging in a Ram, then your Hari go and interact with the Santa Jana, with the, he has already entered the door, the house, door and door to the house. He could hear some sort of a connection between the Shabad Guru and himself. Har Paya Vadpagya. That's how his Har is interacting with the other Har. When your mind searches the Har, then mind and Har together can hear that some connection with Sant Jana is a plural word. Sant Jana are all the Sachkhandis. Vadpagya only because his own enlightenment has gone further. Bali Ram Jiyo, Nirmal Har Paya. So then he has attained his own mood, Hari Gun Gaya, but he didn't stop singing the praises of the Hukam. Mukh Boli Har Bani. He's interacting with everyone at the same level, what they say, Chitta ki Ichha, not Man ki Ichha. Santa Jana Vadpagi Paya, Har Kathiya Kath Kahani. Then once he's in the company of those Santa Jana with his full enlightenment, then he gets the message from Sachkhand and then he speaks the Gurbani. Firstly, he's praising the Gurbani and then he started to speak the Gurbani. Har Kathiya Kath Kahani. Gurbani is a Kath Katha. Hirday Har Hartu Upji. This is what that a Kath Katha is. That he got the Shabad Guru sounding in him, which is similar to what the last lam was saying when it says, just read that line, Antar Bar Har Mekomil Harjan Mangal Gaye, or this is when he says Anhat Shabad Bajai. So this is an indication of Anhat Shabad, Hirde Har Hartun Upji, Hari Japiye Mastak Bhagyo, but it only started when he started to have some sort of connection with his mool. Jan Nanak Bodleti Jilave, the people who have tried to come through this way, this path, Hari Upjay Man Bairagjiyo, Man is with the Sehari, Man which Bairag means the Chao and Bairag are same. So Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Anji, thank you, Virji. Let's move on to our follow-up round. Ekunkarji, do you want to be the first one to go? Perhaps you may want to address some of the points that Chetandeep made about the Dark Night and the fact that he has a different take on Chao and Bairag.
Well, I mean, I think that we're all just, in our own exploration of this, and I
Agreed.
There are a lot of Shabads in the Guru that talk about that bereft, the feeling of being bereft, and it's kind of always the bride being bereft of the love of her husband. I think that,
both in Kabir and Farid, it's pretty pronounced.
and not just there, it's also the gurus, you know, I mean, it's Shabbat Hazadeh. It's, so my own belief about that is that the gurus were playing, you know, I think they were, on the one hand, I think there's just a practical way that they were talking to the psyche of women in those Shabbads. I think that when all this gets interpreted as the soul bride and her husband Lord, that's not actually what's in Gurbani, and there's a big piece missing about the way the Guru was trying to help women deal with what their social reality was at the time, and even still today, you know. I also think that Bairag is a state of the rejected lover who's longing to come back into harmony with her husband or her lord, and that in that state, actually, I think the Guru is radically calling men to come into their own divine feminine aspect. That until you understand that pain of that rejection and that longing to harmonize and be one with, that a woman goes through as kind of part of her psyche in relationship, until you can enter into that experience with your longing for God, you're actually, it's just a spiritual show, but it's not the real deal. And I believe this is why the Gurus called themselves the brides of God, because they were honoring this aspect that is very much kind of the feminine aspect of relationship and experience. So, you know, I don't want to go any further than that. And I recognize that a lot of people might disagree with me, but
Oh, that's the whole point of getting together.
but
Disagree with each
what I
other.
would say is, if we want to understand Bairag, we've got to go to those Shabads that talk about the wounded wife, and not just look at it as some metaphor, but understand it as the reality, the social reality of people.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you. Ranaveji, follow-up round. Any thoughts?
No, I don't have in that sense. I'm not splicing the words here. People have different concepts, and now, as Ekyukaji said, that the gurus were dealing with feminine psyche. I'm not sure whether the Bani was written with that in mind, or that implication is coming. It might be unintentional, but that is, we are taking it to make a point, possibly. I'm not sure about that. But what is more intriguing to me is, and I think I shared that with Chetandeep earlier, that what is the alignment of these four stages through which we go through and meet the Sachkhand Kalpurk, and the 5 stages which come in Japji Sahib, Dharam Khand, Gyan Khand, Sharm Khand, Karam Khand, and Sachkhand. There has to be alignment, and I think there's alignment that we should be spending time seeing that. And again, I personally feel that the whole task in these lama lies in the first thing. If we make ourselves virtuous and dharmic, the word is, yes, and that is first step, and the 100 steps are coming. God is going, Kalpurk is coming to you. You have to take the first step, and I think in this one, I sit back and think all these second, third, and fourth things. This is sequential process that happens. Guru Sahib says, okay, the first thing you do, be taram, do these things, and that's your role. That's all what you're going to do. When you get connected to the Guru, everything is going to happen. That's the way I feel. Then we can take the words. Yeah, you pointed rightly that we are trying to understand these words, but I pause here when I don't have to understand Birag, because what I want to understand is, yes, it's good to understand it, but rather than spending what Birag is, what is not, whether we are going to be Vairagis or not, I think everything is going to happen to you once you do the first Laav. Whatever is told to you, everything is going to go. That's my understanding. But great, the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virji. Thank you. Gurdeep Singh Virji, Montreal.
Our brides and our husband is the Lord, Supreme Lord, the God. And the whole idea is how to meet with the God. Nari te jo purkh krav hai, purkhan te jo nari. Eka purkh ho sagli nar sabai. We all are brides. Ekankar point is very good and it's valid. Whole Gurbani is written as if we are the bride and Supreme Lord is our husband and how to get joined with him, get back to him. Rest is our falling suit, our individual life, daily, day-to-day life. If we do that, तन पर ये ना आखिए बहन इकट्ठे हुए एक जोत दोए मूर्ति शब्द मिलावा हुए. So शब्द is Gurbani, शब्द is Guru, शब्द is our Satguru, शब्द is Parampurukh. So this is the technology, this is a technique how to get back there. So naturally when you will be longing for the divine love with the Supreme God, you will forget everything else. Everything else is delusion actually. It's for a couple of days. Nothing's going to go with us. Everything going to go stay here. So it's a wonderful way or technology or Gurbani which interests us and how to get back to the source where we came from. So that's the whole purpose of Gurbani. And I think they give so many examples. Even each night is divided into 4 stages. पहले पैरे रहन के बंजारिया मित्रा, दूजे पैरे रहन के बंजारिया मित्रा, तीजे पैरे रहन के चौथे पैरे. So they divide our whole life in 4 parts of one night, which is true. It says रात कारण धन संचिए भाई भर के चलन होए. So how much stuff we take when we have to go for one night only? One small little backpack and that's it. This is exactly the example have been given to us to awaken us that your purpose on this earth, on this life is much different than what we assume and what we are doing.
Hanji.
That's where when Vairag comes, we get the understanding of this, then more and more we longing for the divine love, not for these materialistic.
Hanji.
Thank you. This is how I understand.
Thank you. And I might just add, you'll be surprised at how much some people I know will pack for even one night. So not just a backpack. Okay, let's see now. Gurjeet Singh Virji, final thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have seen there are 3 sorts of words in Gurbani. There's a rag, there's a bairag, and there's an anurag. The rag, the Gurbani is written in rag, so the man can get bairag. Bairag is without rag. He sings the praises of Maya because he doesn't see his mool. When he sees his mool, at that stage he becomes bairagi. There's enough indications like raga which Sri Raga just such a pyar. The whole purpose of Gurbani to be written in rags was that he get associated with his mood. And then they say man bairagi karvasai. So this is the second stage when the man gets bairagi. The man has to get into the bairagi stage. And also there's another one when they address Guru Nanak as bairagi, the yogis. They are saying, asking Nanak, keh baisho keh rahiye wale, keh avo keh jao. Nanak bole sun bairagi. It is more coming from their angle. The yogis used to be bairagi, and if you read the Samgranth, Dattatreya is the bairagi. He started this system. So bairagi, sannyasi, they're slightly different to each other, but they obtained when there was no text over there. They still got associated with themselves. And the third stage is anurag, when the Shabad Guru speaks through you. That is an anurag. So that's my understanding of these 3 words. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa.
Hanji, thank
Vaheguru Ji
you.
ki Fateh.
Sorry, Charandeep.
I don't have a lot to add, but I was pondering over when you started today's discussion. You said today we are going to investigate the third Laav. So there and then a thought arose in me that along with investigating the third Laav, I think we should also investigate how this third Laav applies in our daily life. We should also investigate these teachings or instructions in that sense. So
Yes.
that has been on the back of my mind, and I've been thinking about how, or instances of that, has I ever felt Bairag or in my own life? And recently I have seen, so in just the spirit of sharing and in the spirit of investigating this love in my own life, I have seen, I just want to share that I have seen some level of Bairag arising at some levels, just the flashes of it. When I see I'm no longer attached to either people around me in the sense that I used to be, or like, for example, expectations from other people, or attachment to let's say social media or forms or other people, and not in the sense of disillusionment, but with an understanding of that these are just attachments of my I. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chidandeep. And I think I'm going to just repeat what Ekunkarji said early on, which I think is spot on. Dropping expectations from our partners, right, is kind of a Bairag, being even keeled. So yeah, but thank you for sharing your thoughts. We've got a couple of minutes if anybody has any final thought to add.
I can
Okay.
only say,
One point which is my thought, you can say that
Anji.
other people may not agree. When we were talking the Virag word, Gurjeet and also other people talk about that, we have to keep, that's my feeling, we have to keep in mind the word assumes meaning in the context. It's the same word, we cannot take from somewhere else the Virag word and substitute over here to understand what Gurbani is saying. I think we should be cautious with that. This is the way I feel that the Virag might have different meanings in different contexts. Here, I agree with what Chetandeep said, the Chao and Virag are simultaneously. You are excited about that, and this is something very positive happening to you. It's not that one negative thing is happening and the positive things happening at the same time when you come into contact with Satguru. So I think we need to be cautious about that the words do assume meaning in the context they're used.
Anji, and just for clarity's sake, I don't think a negative connotation was being attached to Bairag. This is just a state of the mind, but yes, your point is well taken. Anybody else? For a few minutes we've got.
yes, I think Bairag state of mind is intense love. When you are in love with someone or with something, then you don't see anything wrong in that person or that Lord. That means you will not be in love with two things. You can be only in love. Psychologists have been proved only with one. So this is the intense stage of love where Bairag I consider out of Gurbani. So nothing to do with Jogi and Bairagis and all that. I know they are given those names or titles, but Bairag means you will not think of anything else except your divine love in
Yes.
Gurbani, according to Gurbani. This is how I think. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, let me quote Ekunkar again, where she talks about Vairag being the feeling of a rejected lover, the intensity of a rejected lover that's seeking to reconcile with the lover. Right, Ekunkar?
Yes, yes. I mean, but I do think that maybe that's kind of the key difference in understanding, is, to my understanding, Bairag is I love, and then all of a sudden I'm blocked from the experience, I'm blocked from the connection, and I'm longing to get back to that connectivity.
Yeah.
But I think I hear other people saying, no, we don't lose the connectivity to begin with. And so that's, maybe where there's a difference in perspective.
That's fine. Thank you. One last call, just one more. Okay. Thank you very much. And we will meet next Wednesday. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.